So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall 2 steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have a phenomenal guest lined up. His name is Richard Brock. He is coming on screen here in just a moment. Right before we do that, just a little bit about this show. In case you're new here, this is the Mind, Body, Business Show, internet show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, where we bring on only the most successful entrepreneurs from all over the world. And the reason we do that is because with that, you can learn from those who have already achieved a great level of success rather than those that are just talking about how to achieve success and they have not yet themselves made it. No problem with anyone, wherever they are in their walk in entrepreneurship. But the reason for this show is simply to give you the tools and resources you need to simply model the success of my guests and follow in their footsteps and make it a much easier and simpler path to make it to where, you're successful because you desire it and you deserve it. And that's what we're here for, is to help you. So the Mind, Body, Business Show, it's about what I call the 3 pillars of success. And that came from years of studying only successful people, trying to figure out what was the secret sauce. What was it that made them more successful than, say, myself? And I found time and time again, 3 pillars or 3 patterns that kept floating to the top, if you will. And those are basically parts of the title of this very show. So mind being mindset. To a person, each and every successful individual that I studied had a very powerful, yet even more important, very flexible mindset. And body. Well, body means literally that, taking care of oneself, both outside and inside. So exercise on a regular basis and eating and drinking nutritional food and drink. And no kidding, that's what successful people do. They don't just sit around on a hammock and drink from an umbrella drink, getting drunk every day, as many would picture someone who's very wealthy and successful. And then there's business. Business is one of my faves because it is so multifaceted. It requires each of these very successful people had mastered skill sets in various areas like sales, marketing, team building, systematizing, leadership, and the list goes on and on and on. And here's the thing, to master any one skill set takes a good deal of time and effort. The good news is you, the business person, you do not have to master every single one of them. In fact, if you master just one of those skill sets, in fact, I mentioned it in that list, then you really are set to move forward. And that one skill set is the skill set of leadership. Once you've mastered that, you now have the power and the wherewithal to delegate to those who have the skill sets, who have mastered the skill sets in those other areas. Now you can really grow and scale your business. And so that is what the Mind, Body, Business Show is about the 3 pillars of success. Richard Brock is coming on here in just a moment, and we are going to really dig deep into his beautiful brain and find out what makes him so successful so that you can be successful. It's pretty cool. So before we do that, another wonderful trait of the very successful is that they are all, to a person, voracious readers. And with that, I'd like to segue into a little segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
There you see it, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And real quick note, for those of you watching live, and even if you're listening to this on the podcast afterward, is rather than succumb to that urge to go clicking away and typing in a URL to go check it out while you're on the show, rather than do that, I implore of you to instead write it down, take notes, type it in, write it in. and stay with us. And the reason for that is because I would so hate for you to miss that one golden nugget that Richard is going to be talking about tonight that could literally change your life. And I've seen it happen from live events that I've done from stage where I know I'm about to give that one golden nugget away from stage. And I see someone get up and walk out because they had to go to the bathroom or they got a phone call and got distracted. And they just missed out on what could have possibly changed their life. So for you, it'd be best if you just took notes. And I take notes too, and I'm running this entire show. And so I never ask anybody to do what I don't myself do as well. But that's just a suggestion for you. Reach Your Peak Library is literally a website I had developed with you in mind. It's kind of a gift to all of you. And what it is simply a collection of the books that I've read personally and vetted that have proven to have a profound impact on my life personally and in business, or maybe one or both. And so I put this together just so you would have a place that you could just go to one spot. You don't have to go to Audible and go search for the business directory. If you don't want to, you can come here. And by the way, anytime you click this button, it goes straight back to Amazon. So this isn't necessarily a money-making website. It truly is my gift to you to help you to find a good read that is proven to have impact on at least one other successful entrepreneur so that your odds of wasting time are greatly reduced. Sound good? All right, enough of my blabbing, because you know what? I cannot wait to bring on the man of the hour. You know who he is. He's Richard Brock, and he's coming on right now.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Richard Brock.
Brian, thanks for that kind introduction and this opportunity to share my experiences.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait because you are in a field that just moves my needle, and that's called the tech needle. I love everything that I've learned about you thus far, and I can't wait to dig deeper. Before we go too deep, real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. You see, if you're watching live or recorded video, that big red seal up there, like a stamp, it's the Big Insider Secrets. They are our sponsors, and they are offering, we get to offer this because of them, every single show, a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort, compliments again of the Big Insider Secrets, Jason Nast, my dear friend. And so we'll give you the information, the specifics on how to enter at the end. And you must be on live in order to enter. We'll give you that information. And a couple of more real quick, and then we'll get on with Mr. Brock. All right. If you're struggling with putting on a live show together and it's overwhelming and you want a lot of the processes done for you while still enabling you to put on a high quality show and connect with great people like Richard Brock and grow your business all at the same time, then head on over to carpetbombmarketing.com. Carpet Bomb Marketing, saturate the marketplace with your message. And one of the key components that is contained in the Carpet Bomb Marketing courses, this is one that you'll learn how to absolutely master, is the very service we use to stream our live shows right here on the Mind Body Business Show. In fact, we're doing it right now. Over the course of the last, it's been over 9 years ago, last 9 years, yeah, we have tried many of these quote unquote TV studio solutions for live streaming. And I'll tell you that StreamYard is the best of the best. It combines supreme ease of use along with unmatched functionality. And so you can start streaming high quality, professional looking live shows for free. And you can do that right now. Don't do it now, write it down. Visit the website at ryp.im/stream live. Altogether, ryp.im/stream live. And write that down and visit it after the show. Highly recommend it for everyone and anyone that is live streaming or is planning on doing so. And now back to the man himself. Going to give him the introduction he deserves because he is a man that deserves great respect because he's achieved a lot and now he's here to share with you. So Richard Brock has started 4 successful businesses, and one was the first CRM company to go public and was recognized as the best performing stock in the US by CBS, MarketWatch.com, SalesRelevance.com. his current company has 4 patents pending for applying AI, that's artificial intelligence, to sales. Oh, artificial AI, real AI, ladies and gentlemen, not the wannabe AIs that we've seen everybody using that term. I can't wait to talk about that too. With that, officially, formally, at last, welcome to the show, my friend Richard Brock. How are you doing this evening?
Doing well, thank you.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be so great. So I love all of the accolades, the things on the surface that are what I call low-hanging fruit to learn about somebody. Like we just talked about you on the bio and the opening. What I like to do right off the bat, Richard, is go deep. And by that I mean, I want to find out what's going on in that big, beautiful brain of yours that gets you to the point of where you are today. And how did you get, what was the mindset that you woke up with every morning? You knew that another day was in front of you. Being an entrepreneur, as most people know, is like a roller coaster. You never know. Sometimes it's going to be a smooth day, rarely. Other times things will hit you and knock you back. But for you, Richard, when you get up in the morning and then through the day, what is going on through your mind that keeps you going through all the trials and tribulations of being a successful businessman?
Well, probably the most important thing I learned in high school was quitters never win and winners never quit. So when you go through struggles and you look at all these famous people, like a famous football coach, Vince Lombardi, he says, I never lost a football game. I just ran out of time in a few of them. And Henry Ford says, failure is just not a permanent thing. It's just a place to start over with a more informed thing. So the mistakes are not insoluble, and you learn from them. So my team knows I wake up in the morning. I do sleep well. I go to bed early and I wake up and I sleep like a baby. And I wake up and I have my morning thoughts. And it's like, and then my mind just comes up and says, wait a minute. And so I call them and I say, I have a morning thought. Now, it said it could be a dream or it could be a nightmare. Which one is it? But that's where I come up with all these ideas is I guess with a fresh mind, I think of new ways to solve old problems. And that's what really turns me on is figuring out ways to solve problems that you couldn't solve, in the past or weren't even there in the past. With that now technology, a new problem pops up and you were able to use technology to solve it. So that's what turns me on.
Yeah, and so I think we're cut from a similar cloth. You said technology a lot, and I love technology. It's one of those things that just it excites me, and we both love technology. You are far more proficient at it than I. If you're doing AI, my gosh, that's the pinnacle of technology, in my humble opinion. To master something like that, my goodness, very, very impressive. And we will talk about your business, Richard, to share it with people. Because I want to learn more about it as well personally and get deeper into it. It sounds like a phenomenal suite of tools that you guys provide. And wanted to find out what took you down this path? What took you down the path of doing a business related around AI? What started that? What sparked that?
Well, it was a natural evolution, if you will, from the CRM. And CRM space became a commodity, and we did first company go public, so is everybody out there. But then I started looking at the real problem, and this COVID really has helped my business model. Sadly, I certainly wouldn't wish that on anybody. But now the field sales rep he's no longer. The people wouldn't talk to him during the COVID crisis, but even now they don't want to talk to him. But it started when the internet. That's what got me thinking about this. The internet displaced the salesman as the broker of information. So if he's no longer the broker of information, and people say that the prospects are no longer through their purchase cycle, they're through their buyer's journey. And the studies show now that they don't even want to talk to a sales rep. And it's twice as bad from the millennials. They don't want to talk to a sales rep. So I'll think, well, wait a minute, what's the problem? The reason they don't want to talk to a sales rep is the sales rep is not relevant to them. So how are you relevant? You're relevant because you want to talk about what they want to talk about in the sequence they want to talk about it. It's like any relationship with anybody. You talk about the sports that they're interested in or what you see. And that's what we do with our AI is we're using someone's digital behaviors, what they looked at, their industry, their title, their company, whatever, because the most critical thing is to have a relevant opening statement because buyers don't want to talk to you, especially with the Zoom thing. They don't have the patience. I'm not going to show up at your office. So I got the genesis for this when the internet was displacing the salesman as a broker of information and said, you better be relevant. But now people are not going back to face-to-face meetings. They're going to Zoom meetings, which are shorter. And then the other problem that got me really into this is realizing the huge dichotomy between a buyer who you contact because he has money, right? He has money, authority, and need. He can buy something. He is not the newest employee of the company. Oftentimes, the people making the outbound calls are the newest person in the company because that's the job they got, the beginning job they got. And then you have this huge disparity between a beginning person and a seasoned person. And it's really unfair to the beginning person, but the seasoned person says, call me a couple of years when you figure it out and you know what you're talking about. And so so they get frustrated. And so I said, wait a minute, I can use artificial intelligence to help that beginning person or even that seasoned person be relevant from hello and stay relevant during the call. And that's what conversations are about. Sales intelligence is about conversations that are relevant. That's it. Relevant not to me, but relevant to the buyer. And it needs to evolve that's where the AI really comes into play because we're timing what they're talking about for how long they're talking about. And that moves us the needle to where we talk about the next thing next, which is the more they talk about something, the more interested they are in it.
Yeah, and that you said a key word that really resonated with me, which I've never heard anyone talk about, which was the sequence. So you talked about, your AI helps talk about what they want to talk about in the sequence that they want to talk about it, which is another level, which is amazing. That makes nothing but sense. And in order, to do what your system does, it does research. I'm imagining, like you said, it knows what their position in the company is, and I'm sure a lot of other great demographic data that goes with it to help that flow go during the call. I can imagine how this can really help people that are in the sales industry as well, that are looking to get a leg up. Could this be used for training as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're getting a lot of action there from trainers. And the problem with training is, once again, people are not, during COVID, they certainly didn't go to the training. But now trainers are realizing they have to bring that training in front of the sales rep when he needs it. Now, the old true story was that when people stood up from the training class and walked to the door, they were forgetting. They come in, they're human beings, okay? And so they remembered only 70% of what they were trained after a very short period of time. Well, the problem is, and that's why more senior people can sometimes be more successful, not because they were smarter than a younger guy, but they had made more mistakes, if you will. They learned the hard way. They had more experience so they could engage the prospect. So maybe what I would say on the training, my team goes crazy. They would kill me if I showed you the picture. They said, don't show it anymore, don't show it anymore. But I had a marketing idea a couple of times ago. I live in Arizona now, right? And so I had this picture of a bull, okay, with the cowboy on his back. And so the picture says that before the chute opened, the cowboy had a plan for the ride. Once the chute opened, the horse, the bull has a different plan. Get off of my back. And that's really the way sales calls go today. Get off my back. And the only way you can stay in there is to weave and dodge. The cowboy's doing this number, right? If he's sitting there like, no, I like to sit straight up. I don't like to lean to the right. With the horse, or the cow leans to the right, you're gone. And so by being flexible, and you got to go with the prospect, who is very similar, if you will, to that bucking bronco or that bull that you just released from the pen. It's not being mean to the bull, but the bull says, "Get off my back," okay? And the horse says, "Get off my back," and that's what sales calls are about.
Yeah, I've seen. Go ahead.
I'll give you kind of a fun way to really open this up. I think the key is to have an opening statement that's relevant. For example, if I have an opening, depending upon the title, everything needs to be specific to the title, the industry size, et cetera. But just to give you an example, if I'm selling to a market leader, okay, let's say a CEO of a market leader, I says, I really want to talk to you. We deal with a lot of market leaders, and what they share with me is they're so frustrated with all those VC-funded startups that they make all these claims that they can't back up, and they give these ridiculous prices that they can't afford to offer, and they're just screwing up the market, and the customers really lose, right? And they go, amen, amen. Now, if the system shows that I'm talking to a startup, in our technology company. I said, I know we talked to a lot of startups and they're frustrated because those big companies have all that marketing muscle. They just clout, they just jam it down and they say, we're the low risk alternative and you go with us. And they sell products that are not half as good as yours at twice the price with grossly inferior support. And they go, amen. So here you have a contrast, whether you are a market leader, market challenger, I'm going to be relevant. Now I better know what I'm talking about. Okay, but you can make a case for either. But getting back to that horse, or that bull getting if I'm going to stay on the sale, I've got to be immediately and sustainably relevant to really get your trust. Because sales is really about trust, and trust is built upon confidence that you can solve my problem. So there's two things: confidence in me that I'm, I know what I'm talking about. That I'm competent. Now, if I come across as incompetent, you say he's a very nice guy, but I ain't buying from him because he knows what he's talking about. So that's why, the AI really helps me stay engaged. And, in a sales call, I mentioned about the flow. We need to construct the flow, not just the opening statement, but that conversation, that call flow needs to reflect what that prospect has done with your company before, where they are in their buyer's journey, because what they're interested in at different stages is different things. And so I have to basically take, the system will tell me this is a good call flow for this person. Remember how challenging this is today, where AI really comes into it, is if you have a good list, 5% of the people are going to answer on a good list. So you've wasted 95% of your prep time, and I'm certainly not smart enough to remember all the details. So I spent, from 8 a.m. to noon getting ready, and then I'm calling all afternoon. I got two people in the afternoon. I couldn't even remember what I learned from at 9 and at 10:05. So you really can't prepare. And if you're unprepared, you get thrown off his back. So that's what I like about this. The fun part is we're not tricking people. This is about being respectful so that buyers say, that was interesting. And you've been a good use of my time. And yes, I would like to receive that AI generated email of the relevant things we talked about. So it's all about, you sell to perceived needs. I learned that as a practicing CPA. It's people buy on their perceived needs. Now, sadly, it's not their actual needs. We always should do certain things, but people buy on their perceived needs. Now, so you've got to relate to your solution to the problem they perceive they have. And that's what salesmanship is about, is matching a vision that they have of the problem they have to your solution.
Okay. So, my God, Richard, you dropped so many bombs of wisdom. We got to do this. My goodness, it went on and on. And I'll briefly recap a few things that really stood out to me. And I'm actually taking notes as we go through the show, like I said I would. Trust, it's about trust and built on the confidence that you are competent, is in a nutshell kind of what you were saying. And the thing you just said, or everything you said, was like, wow, you hit every pain point. The prep time. Any research you do on all these, 95% of the people that don't pick up the phone when you call, you've wasted that time. And with a tool like what you guys provide, and I hope I'm not doing it a disservice by calling it just a tool, but the service you provide.
No, it's a tool.
But my gosh, I'm just my head, my brain's reeling in a great way. And here's the one that really hit home, because I've seen, and I'm sure you have too, so many services out there that claim to be AI driven, claim to be. Well, if they have a static database of things to pull from based on word matching, that's not artificial intelligence. That's just programming and matching things. I've seen those come out. But the thing that they're just gimmicky. That's the word I've been looking for. Yours does not sound gimmicky at all. And one of the main reasons was the word you said was, you do this with respect. You're being respectful. It's about them, not about you. And so to make it about them, it's about respecting them, their wishes, what they want to talk about, where they want to go in the sequencing. I love that. And then sell to their perceived needs. Yeah, it's really their wants that we're selling to, not to their needs, right? And so all of that, just gold. That's why we had to drop some bombs on that one, Richard. That was phenomenal. Mean, every person, any business person on the planet could just, from that opening right there, would have enough to go and crush it. And then if you were to take it another step, and we will bring it up here a little bit later in the show, and go look at Richard's offering, the service that his company provides, then your mind will be completely blown in a great way. You're going to love this. I can't wait.
Yeah, one of the things you mentioned where a lot of AI falls short is that simple matching just doesn't cut it. And the really worst part is the words you use are different. You have to put things in context. And so those simple word matches just don't fly. And one of the things that we do is the sales managers know what to say in a given point, but it's very complex. You need to weight the recommendation that comes up. So you can have 5 different choices. And you weight it. Our software will weight the decision, give different points to different ones, and say, well, this counts, but in this situation, the weight goes with this one, pop it up. And then we think probably one of the most important thing is because when you change subjects, we're accurately tracking what you're talking about just by clicking on the subject, which gives you the reinforcement of the highlights that the AI says you talk about. But by tracking the time that we're talking about, I'm measuring your interest, and I don't have to take notes. I can pay attention to you because the system has taken the detailed notes. So I've got the insights of what we talked about for the AI email. But most importantly, each time I change subject with you, whatever it is, I touch a button, okay, and it changes subject. Now, the system, I write that to the database, and the database says, wait a minute, Richard and Brian, they've now talking about this, but we started talking about Brian with these attributes, and then they went all, and then this last thing, Brian really liked that. So based upon the time that he did, then probably the next thing I should talk about would be this. And it can even redo the call, not playbook, if you will, the talk track. A talk track is a sequence of what we should discuss and the sequence we should discuss them because it's ever critical. And if I'm talking to a CFO, that sequence is entirely different than a CEO, entirely different than VP of sales, et cetera, right? So the sequence matters based upon the title, the industry, and all that good stuff. But the talk track is initially created for each person, and even during the course of the call, it can be regenerated because I need to continue to be relevant to you or I am gone. You can go back to that horse, you're off.
This takes communication in the sales world to a whole new glorious world. And I'm thinking of all of they're great approaches that have existed, like personality profiling, like DISC. There's one called Bank. You went through that recently, Richard. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, where we go through the different modalities that people like to learn in the best, and learn if they're kinesthetic, they're feelers, or if they're action takers, all of those different personalities. But with your service, it sounds like you don't even have to worry about that because it will detect based on the data that's already pre-collected and the flow of the conversation what the best thing is to move into and say and how to say it next.
Actually, those things are quite valuable, okay? Like Crystal Knows, for example. I think Crystal Knows is a fairly accurate forecaster if you've ever looked at that product, and it tells you your personality type. Because if you get back to, personality types, okay? The fluffy type. They want to be, let's talk and yak, whatever, or the more analytical type, let's get to it. And some people are just like really crazy. But you have to match that personality. What our system says is you can have, because there's an unlimited number of choices, you don't make a simple choice. You take I could have 5 ways to say hello, even different languages, okay? So the 5 ways to say hello needs to reflect your personality, your industry, your company size, et cetera. So all those attributes you're talking about need to be in the engine so that we can really make it sweet. Now, it would be overwhelming to a rep if they were trying to just pick the right thing to say. But with the AI, it's saying, no, this is Brian's personality. Let's talk to him this way in this sequence. That's how, for example, you get the people that don't, you can just set the stage. You got the other people who give me the bottom line. So you got the 2 different stories. Build it up, or set the stage, or build it up, and you better go the way they want to go, or you're not a match.
Yes, and that's the thing I love about this. All the messaging is toward them, which I see mistake after mistake when people are in their ad copy, even on Facebook ads and things, where all the verbiage is about them, their product, and what it can do, but it's not about how to address that individual's needs. Some do it well. But I see a lot still of folks that are always addressing, well, this is what we have to offer for you, and it's the best thing since sliced bread, so you should get it. But why? What are you doing for them? What is exactly? I love how you guys have nailed down how to do sales, and now you've added AI to it, which Oh my goodness. I keep looking up because I have a monitor above me and I'm looking at your website, Richard. In fact, I'm done. I want to bring that up if you're cool with it. I want to learn more about this. So before I do that, real quick, disclaimer. Richard did not pay to be on this show. He did not ask for me to highlight his website, his services at all. I absolutely 100% honest. And I'm so intrigued. And I think anyone in business should be as well about anything that can help you to make more sales in a congruent and integrity-based manner. And that's what Richard has come up with. We mentioned he's got 4 patents. This guy's smart. He knows what he's doing, and he's got a great team, one of which I got to meet today, which was awesome. So I'm going to bring up your site, and let's just take a look at it. I already like the opening imagery here. It's really like futuristic, but the meat is down here. If you wouldn't mind, go through the main sections of what this beautiful tool does for people. That would be phenomenal.
Okay, so the idea is conversational intelligence, and you have to it begins with an opening statement. So this is an example of how you establish relevance from below, and you can work. The problem you have is the people you prepare to call won't answer your call for whatever good reasons. They're just not at their desk, and then you wasted all your time. And then you do so what you do is you cut corners on your call prep, or you're just not experienced enough to really do it well. So the first thing we do is we call this what to say, okay, which is the AI generated opening statements, so that it's about you. And as part of the opening statements is we have the call flow, the call plan, which is your talk track, which is once again. So establishing relevance for hello. That's the first component here. Is if you don't get past hello, it's like that horse. If you don't make it, in that bull, he's going to throw you off his back. The next component that we have, if you roll up here, is if you look at the right is the dialogue. Okay, you see the opening statement there. So this is the talk track that was indicated for this particular person for this particular call. So no two are the same. Yes, you can have playbooks, but a playbook that is, hard-coded, if you will, is outdated. And so this is dynamic. It's constructed for each call. So let's just say I was planning on talking, it will remember where we talked before you left off. So it will have a playbook for you. The next time I talk to you is where we left off. But then again, it can also be changed based upon you went to the website, you looked at the documents, you spent time doing this, that, and the other. So it needs to be personal to you. And anytime during the call, I could say, this isn't going the way I thought, okay? For example, I don't know if you're a dog person or a cat person, but, if I'm talking about cats, because I thought you liked cats, I'm going down to cat person, he's a dog person. So I can hit the refresh button because I had a click note that said he likes dogs, okay? Then this whole thing on the right is going to change. It's going to be why dogs are man's best friend, okay? And so I can redirect, if you will, and say, please tell me what to say next. This ain't going well, okay? And what it's going to do when it does that, it's going to know how long we talked about whatever in whatever sequence, which is another key thing, which gets me the third component down there. This is really unique as well. Interaction Chronicles, what we call our story so far. And if you can see this particular one here, this shows that what was talked about in the sequence that it was talked about, for the amount of time or duration that it was talked about. And a lot of people record their phone calls. Very few people take the time to listen to recorded phone calls. It takes too much time. If I got 20 sales reps, there's 30 hours a week. That's 60 hours a week. It's more than I have available just to listen to calls. So I don't listen to the right thing. So the story so far means that if I have a recorded call, it is linked right in here, and this becomes a call map. So I, as a sales manager, get to see, wait a minute, he was discussing the purchase, the budget cycle, or the approval. They talked about for 3 minutes. I think I want to hear that. So I click the recorded call link. I go right to 18 minutes and 22 seconds, and I listen to it. See, so my time is more valuable. And then we have click notes so I can give suggestions, to the sales rep. Probably the most important thing, though, is this is about a deal, okay, an interaction with a deal. And when I'm talking to Brian, and I need to be talking to Brian, and if I talk to you, you say, call me in a week. How many people I've talked to in a week? A whole bunch. I need to pick up where I've left off. You have talked to nobody in the last week about what I sell, I hope, okay? So you expect me to have the courtesy to pick up where I left off. It's very hard. But with this story so far, I said, Brian, when we were last talking about, you seem to be extremely interested in this, that, and the other. So we have a button in Insights Reports, which will show the synopsis of what we discussed, the most important items, and how long we talked about things. But where that really comes into play as a sales manager, because we talk about leadership, and I was talking about cats, for example, and they say that sales reps are more like cats, okay, than dogs. You can't hurt them, okay. If they're too easy to herd, they're really not sales reps, okay? I mean, they need to be self-reliant, self-confident, so they can, on their own, do a good job. And so what we have an insights report, and so as a sales trainer, this is what sales trainers really love about it, okay, is they may not be, even marketers now with the content here, is they got this great content. So the interaction insight report can compare not just this lead, but compare Tom, Dick, and Harry. So if I did sales training for Tom, Dick, and Harry, I call you up and I said, Brian, how'd that training go last month? Well, they seem to like it, but I don't know if anybody got anything out of it yet. And he says, Brian, I bet you even noticed that Tom, he's doing a little bit better, right? Dick, he's the same, isn't he? Harry's killing it, isn't he? How do you know that? Are you looking at my books? No, I'm not. What I'm looking at is the digital behaviors. I'm looking at the analytics that show me that Harry's picking up the stuff. So then when I want to gain credibility, okay, to the, to the person, to the sales reps, Tom and Dick, I said, may I have a call with Tom and Dick? And I'm going to say, Tom, have you noticed that the car out in the new car in the parking lot? Okay. And he goes, yeah. Okay. Well, that's Harry has a new car because he's following the new methods. Dick, nothing's changed, has it? Because you ain't done nothing different. So instead of pushing back on me and saying, well, I didn't think you had a good idea to begin with. Okay. What do you know about sales? How long has it been since you carried a bag in this territory? You know what? That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the guy with the new car, Harry, is taking the new methodology, and these messages are working. And then when I go back to marketing, I said, marketing, I need more of this. I need you to amp up this differentiation here. And marketing begs for that because they don't get good feedback from the rep. But with our software, just click a button that says useful to me. And that's one of the patents, is useful to me. Mr. Sales Rep's too busy, not going to write a note. How can I tell the sales manager what I need more of and whatever, and what work useful to me? So that's kind of the fun thing about it.
My goodness. And then looks like there's talk tagging as well.
Yep. The talk tagging is there's a video on that. They can see that. That's where when you're going through, remember, if you don't have a story so far, how do you pick up where you left off? You can't. But if you take the notes, let's be real. Are you going to take the time to put all the notes in the system? No, you're not. Yeah. You're going to put some of the notes in, and you're limited to what you had time to write down. You're limited to what remember. So what you thought you would forget was important enough to key in. But now, if I'm listening to you carefully, I've got a talk track, and I'm just clicking on the things as I talk about them. I don't have to talk about them in that sequence. I can talk about them in any sequence. I could type in a Google, search. We have a Google-like repository, and you ask about some weird subject I didn't know much about. It says, I'm really glad you asked about that, Brian. The mean time between failure of these valves is so-and-so. And you're going, whew, that's impressive, Well, because I went to the knowledge repository. So I'm tracking the time. And then next time I come back, I know Brian was really interested in the mean time between failure. Like, how often I have to change the oil, whatever you're interested in. So as a sales rep, I'm very comfortable because it's not what I know. It's what knowledge is available to me now. Because Brian is interested in this conversation. He's kind enough to spend time with me today, maybe tomorrow, probably not, unless I've earned that right. And he'll think, you're refreshing, you're interesting, if I'm talking about what Brian wants and I can answer his questions. And that's what this does. And the talk tagging, we call it talk tagging. So if you're doing your recorded calls, you put that link in there. So you're now getting the value out of your recording calls, which most people don't. I mean, the big Gong and Chorus are the big call recording people. And then one of the CEOs, I was stunned last year when he wrote an admonishment in writing to his users, is you people have to listen to more recorded calls because people don't.
Wow. That is awesome. All of it. I am like, I have so many questions. I don't know where to start. This is a phenomenal resource. So is this an interface that works directly through Sales Talk only, or can you somehow pull Zoom into it so you can have a video call and still have this interface running, things like that?
Absolutely. And, and we're going to assume most of our calls are going to be on Zoom, right? And there's another thing that when you have this is a tool that's done for sales reps. CRM is often done to sales reps. But companies have long-term commitments with the big CRM vendors. So we integrate with all the big CRM vendors. And of course, the guy that owns the CRM says, not in my watch, you're not touching my CRM as the god around here. If it ain't a CRM, it doesn't exist. And he says, you're right. And if you say, no, you have to link and you have to sync the data, and he goes, no, I don't. No, I won't. So what we say is put a button on your CRM, click the button. We'll open up our screen, passing to us everything that is the current version that's from your CRM. Now, if the record, if I've talked to you before in my system, it'll update the record. If not, it creates a record. At the end of the call, you just hit the back arrow key. I'm back within the CRM from where I left. I didn't open up a new window. I just clicked a button. And so by syncing them that tight, everything is still in the CRM. The CRM guy says, I'm cool with that. And now, it is on a standalone CRM, but we don't sell it that way because everybody has a CRM. So the story so far is a standalone CRM, but let's assume you're going to use another CRM because you have a contract with it and you like it and it's the corporate standard and whatever. Leave it alone. Leave the sleeping dog. Don't wake up the sleeping dog.
So I'm I'm a geek, and I'll say something that's only geeks would understand, I think. But is Zapier? Is there integration for Zapier yet? Or does it need to be?
Zapier, is interesting because Zapier is a pretty cool product. Because what Zapier says is there's 1,000 features out there, and we're going to be a ubiquitous interface. And if you, being a programmer, if you got any brains here, you don't hard code things, because I've told programmers if you hard code stuff, there's a story in programming, okay, that the customer knows what you want when you give them what they ask for. So whatever you hard code is obsolete. So we do everything, on rules based. So that's kind of our programming methodology here. Now, what Zapier says is, I can't have every interface known to man, but Zapier can. Zapier can take the time. But if you think about what people don't think about is, there's what Zapier is doing is it says these are the names of the fields, like I call it first name, last name, whatever. Yeah. Other CRM calls it the same things, different things. Who cares? Okay. So Zapier does the mapping, and so it's a mapping product. So yes, it's real easy for us to do that because they just help us.
And the reason that thought came up is, what if someone started using kind of a relatively newer CRM that you guys have not yet like physically integrated with, like specifically something like Zapier could potentially bridge that gap in some certain ways, depending on what data is made available through the interface that you guys have agreed with and the APIs and all that with Zapier. I'm going way too geeky for everybody, I'm sure. But
no, that's important though, because that does increase the value, right? And the point being, like one of the things like with this is amazing. It's one of my little morning thoughts. The problem we have getting the content loaded, right? You think, well, how are we going to load all that content in there, right? Well, you copy and you paste. You go, well, not today. I have to go walk my dog or whatever. I got to go to the store. I'd rather get my teeth cleaned than copy and paste the stuff. So we said, no, I'll tell you what, give me a contract in electronic format. Like we have a book. One of our business partners, a sales consultant, his book is, I think, 178 pages, 83 different rebuttals for insurance agents and things like that. And so we took his book, and his book had dividers in it. And, I told my senior programmer, I said, I want you to have, give me a document like that. I want you to put a little divider. If you see that divider, after that divider in that same line, I want you to create a talking point with that name until you see the next divider. And he said, oh, yeah. So then I took the book, and it took about 5 minutes to take the 178-page book and create one master playbook with, 80-something different talking points from his book.
Wow.
So, so the problem is, if you got all this content, it's not an absence of content. You're not going to come up with a better idea today. The marketing department's been doing this for years. The problem is it's been over in the marketing department, or it's been on that shelf. And if it's not at his fingertips, it does not exist. So what we do is we take that marketing content, whether your show pad, all those, that's a very valuable product for good sending stuff, but we can take show pad content, copy and paste it in or import it in, and then we Google index it. Because, the problem is customers are not logical. And they say things in weird sequences. I mean, because they're customers, right? They're
True.
people. And
Yeah.
so with the Google indexing of the content, this rep goes, huh? And he just types in what the customer said, and then it presents every single, what we call talking point, content nugget that pertains to that, like a Google index. It looks like Google, it's not Google. And he clicks on it, he goes, well, I'm glad you asked that question. See? So that's what makes it so valuable, is the content gets sucked in, automatically like that. I did one, it was a 35-minute presentation. And I'm not exaggerating here. I really am not exaggerating. I was doing yesterday. It was 35 minutes, and I just put the dividers in because I just did it. We transcribe it. So it was a verbal transcription. I did transcription, and I said, okay, I went about that fast. It took a 35-minute presentation, sucked it in. They were all in there. Because computers are very stupid, which I kind of like that about them, but they're very fast. Okay?
Very fast.
They're stupid, which just means they will do whatever you ask them. If you ask it nicely, the rules are their rules. If you ask them the way they want me to, they will do it. And so that's what I like about them.
They're like a very loyal dog. Yes.
Very
but
loyal
much
dog.
smarter, or much faster, I should say.
Much faster.
They're like a greyhound of the dog world. My gosh. So I'm definitely going to be digging deeper into that. There are so many other applications. I would be curious to see if it can accommodate. And I have a feeling that if not now, that soon it probably will be, if you get asked by enough people, because sales drives service, and you only want to solve problems that exist. I get that.
Yeah.
My gosh. So holy smokes, you've really blown my mind in such a great way. I'm in geek heaven. It's awesome. I can't wait to see what this bad boy can do in different. So we have what we call a strategy call for bringing on people just to see if we're a fit. We're not actually having them say, go to this shopping cart and sign up now. We give them time to, we like to do it the non-intrusive way. But I'm curious how this would work, because we have a very step-by-step kind of approach, where we first go through one category of Q&A, move into a whole different new category, and there's like 4 or 5 of those categories with subsections. And I'm just curious how all of this would flow and we would get the information we're looking for, because it's a two-way street for us more. It's like, yes, they may want what we have, but do we want to work with them? And not being mean, just are they ready? Are they, do they have what they need for us to help them? Are they at that point or level? Maybe they're too far. I talked to one that's already doing 8 figures. And so what we have, it's like, it wouldn't do anything for him. He's like, no, look, we're not a fit, and I'm not here to sell you, and we just had a chat after that. So I'm just curious how, and maybe we can talk offline about that down the road.
Love to do that. Love to.
Yeah. And just go through some like what ifs, and maybe it's something that's worthy of implementing. If it's not, it could be already, who knows, with your guys' genius over there. My gosh, you're just impressing the heck out of me here. This is fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
And so you were sharing with me off stage, off camera earlier, that you enjoy doing things outside of all of this tech. And I wanted to give that human side of you to others, if you're okay with opening up and saying,
absolutely.
What are the things you like to do? One of the things you said was you were a commercial. I'll let you fill in the blank and then go from there, and what you like to do in your spare time.
Yeah, I like challenges. Okay. And so you have to think, okay, so I decided years ago, when I sold my first business, I had a lot of money, and I said, I want to have a beach house, and it's a 6-hour drive from Atlanta to the beach. So I said, I'm going to buy an airplane. So I bought an airplane, and that was fun. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of challenge. And an airplane keeps you focused. I like things that keep my energy. So in an airplane, you go down the runway, you're really focused. The next step is the weather gets you. So then I got we had to get an instrument rating. Then you think, well, that had an engine cough at night, and you're taking off at night, and it goes, and I go, oh, I think I'll get a twin. So I got a twin, and then you have to do that, and then you have to learn how to find a twin in one engine. But see, I'm loving all this stuff, right? And so then I said, well, what the hell, I might as well go to see if I can pass the commercial pilot test, which means take a twin engine airplane, high performance airplane, fly it up at altitude to commercial pilot standards for instrument approaches and whatever. And so did I save a lot of time? I have like 1,300 hours as a pilot, 1,335 or something like that.
Wow.
And I've had several airplanes. But I love flying them. Now, I think I probably could have ridden to the beach, and saved a lot of time. I did go as a business trip, so that was legitimate, okay? But I like things that are challenging, like motorcycles. I've had 5 motorcycles, okay?
Mm.
I did a high alpine tour of the Alps. I took a big BMW 1200 GS and I went to 5 countries in the Alps. That was fun. So I like adrenaline things. I guess maybe you might say I like things that keep my focus. And so that's maybe why I like the technology, and I like the technology, because when I'm thinking about how to do these things, my mind is totally engaged. So if I'm going to take a break, I need something that totally engages it, like flying an airplane. So you can say something that's terrifying. No, something that's that engages you. See, and so I'm that kind of a student of things like that. I've always liked to learn new things.
That is so interesting. Because I see people, like, we go to vacation, we go to hotels, we go on cruise ships, and we see people laying out on a lounge chair, getting some sun, reading a book, whatever. And I've tried that several times, Richard, and I find that after 5 minutes, I got to get up and do something. I can't just sit there and do nothing like you. I want to be engaged on something. I want to be focused. I want to do something that gets you moving, not just, and I'm talking mentally and or physically. It doesn't matter, either one or both, even better.
Yeah.
So I think we have a lot of commonality there. It's just, I go stir crazy if I sit still in one place without, like if I'm working on, say, software automation, things like that, I don't need to physically move because my mind is racing and it's loving.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also physically exhausting at the same time. When you're done, you're like, dang, I'm so tired. That's because you were, the mind and body are connected. So it's amazing.
You talk about body and sports. I was lucky enough for quite a few years, I had the office building I was in had a really nice health club and had racquetball and squash courts. So I could take my clothes and come in and play racquetball in the morning with people, and squash. Now that means you get out there and you can scream and holler, and you can, instead of calling a hitter, you can push them out of the way. So it's kind of like a little violent thing here. But anyway, it's a good way to start the day. But in terms of a sport, okay, if you take squash, it's very fast, okay, and it's like one-on-one, you're hitting stuff and whatnot. But then I moved into racquetball. To racquetball, because the racquetball is more, squash rather. Squash, a racquetball, the ball comes by and it's soft and you miss it and you can hit it against the back wall and you go to the front wall. Okay, not true in when you're playing squash. That little ball dies very quickly. So that little ball, when you see it, you better go to that little ball. See, so that gets to, I'll tell you a funny story in a minute here, but along that particular thing, gets about my priority is do the right thing right now. So that sport engaged me, because when that ball is snapped, you got to focus. You have no time to screw around. And I love that sport. But I'll tell you, I think this story is funny. I hope you like it. A friend of mine, really good friend from college. I grew up in Mobile to the extent I grew up, which isn't much. But at any rate, he calls me. I said, Ron, he said, the hurricane came through here. And he says, so my cousin and I went out in a boat and we went to look at all the flooded stuff. And he says, yeah, we went to the islands. You won't believe this, that all the water moccasins they all started accumulating on the few islands that were above the others. I went, wow. So what happened, Ron? He says, well, we stopped to look at them. And so he said, then they started swimming towards the boat. I said, what'd you do then, Ron? He said, well, I shot the one closest to the boat. And so that is my critical path theory that I have, always moved on, is critical path. Do the right thing right now. Shoot the snake closest to the boat. And that's my corporate culture, is do the right thing right now. Okay. And everybody's ever worked for me shows the snake closest to the boat, because so many entrepreneurs fail, because they do what's comfortable to them. So I said, I'm gonna go off and organize this stuff. No. That's not what's going to kill you today. Not your lack of organization. It's something else. Sooner or later it might. But so snake closest to the boat, do the right thing right now is kind of like my business mentality.
Okay. It's coming, Richard. It's coming. Watch it.
Snake closest to the boat, huh?
Yes. Wow.
It's
Holy smokes. So I hope you're good for going an extra hour tonight, because I have so many. I'm just kidding. We're going to drop it here soon. There's an additional gift I forgot to mention to everyone who's on here live. Richard also has a wonderful gift for everyone watching here as well. So be sure to stay on for that. Fantastic. Thank you, David Gonzalez. He's out there commenting on LinkedIn. Appreciate you for coming on. And and thank you, Mr. Richard Brock, especially. My
My
gosh,
pleasure.
been unbelievable. So I can't believe it. We're only 5 minutes out from being done, which is almost saddening to me, but I know I'm going to be connecting with you again personally. What I'd love to do, Richard, is, I mean, you've given me so much to think about, and I know that means that gives everyone else who's watched or listened to this the same. And I'm so appreciative of that. And we'll give everybody the means to connect with you before we sign off for the evening. But what I like to do is I like to ask every guest that comes on this show one very special, unique question. And it's the same question for now 150 plus shows. And the reason is because after I did it a few times, I realized that the answers were very intriguing, powerful, curious. They spurred curiosity. You name it. It was a powerful question. I thought, wow. And so I'm actually asking this every single guest expert that comes on, and we'll do that in a moment. The thing is when I ask it, some people get it right away. They know the answer like instantly. Others take a little time. It doesn't matter. We're not paying for airtime, so that's good. So you can actually think about it if necessary. But before we do that, I did promise everyone who's watching live that you can enter to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of thebiginsidersecrets.com. You see their red logo if you're watching this on video up there in the right-hand corner. And this is how you can enter to win. Now, in the beginning, I said, don't click away. Don't take your attention away from the show, and Richard especially. But now I think Richard would agree. We will give you permission to, for a moment, just take out your smartphone, your cell phone, and pull up your text messaging app. And I'll put up on the screen how you can enter and talk you through it. Write this down because we're going to get back to Richard and that question and his giveaway right after this. So what you want to do is where you would actually type in the name of the person you're going to text. Instead, type in this phone number. That is 314-665-1767. And then where you type in the message, where you would actually put in emojis, things like that. Don't worry about emojis. That won't work very well. Instead, type in 2 words separated by a hyphen or a dash if you prefer. And the 2 words are peak vacation. So it's peak, P-E-A-K dash vacation all together. Text that, send it off, and then you'll be asked automatically to supply your email address. Once you do that, you are officially entered into our random drawing to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of the Big Insider Secrets and Jason Nast and his company. So appreciative of that. And then we have the wonderful Richard Brock, who has a little giveaway for everyone. And maybe this is a good time to do it and see if we're still good with to do a memory jog. It was a 1-hour call with your sales enablement goals. Is that still what we're talking about, Richard?
Sure.
Fantastic. So how would people get that, enter to get that gift?
Just shoot me an email, richard@salesrelevance.com.
Okay. Richard at
salesrelevance.com.
Got it. So you can see on the screen, salesrelevance.com. Just put Richard at in front of that and email him. Mention the Mind Body Business Show so he has an idea and his crew can sift these properly, because I'm sure they get a lot of inquiries and things like that. And go ahead. What is that actual prize all about?
Well, anybody who wants to try for 30 days, we'll give them a 30-day free trial. And that way they'll bring it home to them, so to speak. They see it work. And it's very easy to implement. And it's unbelievable. When they see it, they go, I want to keep it.
I haven't even seen it and I want to keep it. I don't have it yet. So yeah, definitely. I can understand that. And so the 1-hour call, does that kind of answer questions like, Brian's been peppering you with all these detailed questions and things like that? What would happen on the 1-hour call?
You mean if I had a 1-hour call with someone? Yeah,
that was the giveaway. The gift was 1 hour.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll go through your particular requirements, okay? And we'll discuss the requirements and how we can match them. And we'll show you examples. And that's the key thing. Once again, vision match. because it's not talking about what I can do. It's talking about, we'll start understanding your business a little better. And we'll say, we've done something like this for somebody else like this. And that's what it's about. It's a 1 hour call where we help you decide if you want to take the time to give us your data so we can load it for you. And we'd rather just do it because it's that quick and easy. And then you go, wow,
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. I am so intrigued by all of this. I cannot wait. We'll get that off the screen. And then, my goodness, I think we are at that moment. Before I ask this question, before I forget, the best way to contact you, is it that email address you just gave, or can they go to your website and hit contact us? What do you
They
prefer?
can go to the website and contact us. But richard@salesrelevance.com works. That gets directly to me, so that's easy. But they contact us. It's there. Are the free trials there? Salesrelevance.com. That's it.
There you go. So there's the website. I'll pull that up one last time on the screen. So salesrelevance.com. And once you type that in, you'll see this logo that says Sales Talk on the upper left. You'll know you're in the right place. Then go over and click Contact on the far right on the upper nav bar. And you'll see this form. And you'll notice there in Scottsdale, Arizona, which also will tell you you're in the right place. And type in your information and your message. And definitely reach out. But yeah, definitely email Richard directly to get that 1 hour chat to strategize how to set up your business best through this incredible service. Remember, it's richard@salesrelevance.com. Why, goodness gracious.
And I'd be happy to take the call with you personally too. So, I've got other people who can take them, but if you want to talk to me, I'm more than happy to talk to you.
Fantastic. Much appreciated. I don't want to do this, but we need to bring this to a close. So to do that, we're going to ask that big question.
Uh-oh.
So to alleviate the uh-oh-ness, if that's a word, a little bit, is the really cool thing about this thing, Richard, is there's no such thing as a wrong answer. It does not exist. It's impossible to answer it incorrectly. It's the exact opposite. The only correct answer is yours, because it's personal, and not in a get in your personal life type of personal. It's just unique to you. Okay. So with that, having said that, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Richard Brock, how do you define success?
I think success is doing what you want to do. And that varies. It's not money, because money comes and money goes. Money doesn't buy you happiness. Money can buy an expensive dog, but it doesn't make the dog wag its tail. So you got, whether you're a success or you're a teacher and you're so pleased because you had your students really prospered. You're a doctor and you heal people. You're a nurse. Success means I'm using my God-given abilities to the best of my abilities. And I can sleep well at night and saying the world's a better place because today I use abilities that were given to me in the proper manner. So that's what I think success is. It's not monetary. It's doing what you're good at and what you want to do. So that your job is not a job. You don't go to your job. It's your passion. So success means you're living your passion. It could be you're a football coach and you're coaching teams. That's your passion. That's not a job. Success is being a coach, whether you win your games or not.
You know what's coming. What an amazing way to end the show tonight, with a phenomenal definition of success per the great Richard Brock. I cannot thank you enough, Richard, for coming on the show. Spending this wonderful hour. Just, my gosh, the value's been, I'm very filled, and that's a good thing. And I hope that everyone that has watched and listened to this show as well get the same result. Definitely take him up on reaching out to him. Do so with respect, please. Don't go in expecting something for nothing, even though he's offering you an hour. Take him up on his trial offer for his service, and take it for a test drive. And you'll probably end up doing what he just said and saying, I want to keep this. And that's a good thing, because if you want to keep something that bad, that means it's working for you. And for him to give you a trial means you get to try it. You get to try it out, test it, see if your sales increases, your sales percentages increase. See if you've never made a sale, maybe you're now starting to make sales. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the possibilities with this thing, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to dig in deeper. But that is it for tonight.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Richard. The amazing Richard Brock. On behalf of him, I am your host, Brian Kelly of the Mind Body Business Show. And that is our show for tonight. And so I cannot wait to see you all again very, very soon. So long for now. Have a great, great evening, one and all. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.